auburn hair escaping the bun at the nape of her neck. A longtime employee of Thomas's parents, she had cared for Thomas since he was a boy in Philadelphia and had accompanied him when he came to Waters Ford to take over Two Bears Farm and run the town primary school 12 years before. "A man like him ought to be in Washington City running things, not risking his life scrapping with a rabble. Don't he have a farm to look after and his book to write, and a family that needs his protection?" "All the other soldiers have families and livelihoods, too," Dorothea pointed out, as she had the first dozen times the proud and protective housekeeper had expressed that opinion. "They can't all stay home. Nor could Mr. Nelson both advise the president on matters of state and look after things around here." Mrs. Hennessy dismissed that with a wave of her hand, as if to say a smart man like Thomas Nelson could figure a way around the impossibility of being in two places at once. "All I know is, you don't want him to go any more than I do, and he wouldn't if only you'd tell him about your condition." Dorothea nearly dropped the bundle of food she had packed so carefully. "How did you—" But of course, every Tuesday Mrs. Hennessy did the washing. She would know that Dorothea was late. "You must not tell him. Promise me. It's much too early." "Of course I won't breathe a word. It's not my place." Mrs. Hennessy gave her apron a vigorous tug, then hesitated, brushing off imaginary crumbs. "But if telling him would change his mind—" "He might go anyway." Thomas believed the Union cause was just and noble, and he was not a man to sit safely at home while other men risked their lives for principles he held sacred. "Would you have him go into battle worried and distracted?" "I wouldn't have him go at all, and neither would you." Mrs. Hennessy regarded her sharply, her blue eyes red and puffy from tears. "You and your parents and all them folk from Drowned Farm." "Thrift Farm," Dorothea amended mildly, out of habit. As a child, she had lived with her parents and brother in a community of transcendentalist Christians who had been enlightened ethicists and philosophers, but poor farmers. Though the farm had been lost to a flood years before, obliging Dorothea's family to move in with her cantankerous Uncle Jacob, even newcomers to the Elm Creek Valley, like Mrs. Hennessy, considered it a fine subject for jokes. "Pacifists, each and every one of you," Mrs. Hennessy declared. "Pacifists and abolitionists. You might as well be Quakers." "Might as well," Dorothea agreed, setting the bundle of food beside the rest of the gear Thomas had left near the front door, wishing she could remember what she had forgotten to pack for his long and dangerous journey away from Two Bears Farm. She found her husband in Abigail's room, standing silently beside her crib, stroking her soft, downy hair with a touch as light as a feather. She watched him from the doorway, his slim, wiry frame as familiar to her as her own limbs, his sandy hair boyishly thick, his beard neatly trimmed, bearing only a few threads of gray. His round spectacles caught a narrow shaft of sunlight that slipped between the drawn curtains. Blinking back tears, Dorothea came up behind him, wrapped her arms around his waist, and pressed her cheek to his back between his shoulder blades. "I'm tempted to wake her," he murmured, clasping Dorothea's arms with one hand, resting the other upon Abigail's head, as pretty and fine as a porcelain doll's. "To say a proper goodbye. To hear her laugh one last time." "It won't be the last time you hear her laugh." "I know, but my little baby will be gone by the time I return. She'll be walking, talking, a proper little girl rather than a babe in arms." Dorothea almost blurted out her precious secret, but she had lost a baby early once before, and she was 31, rather mature to be carrying only her second child. She couldn't stuff one last heavy burden of worry into his pack just before he set out. "The sooner you win this war for Mr. Lincoln," she said instead, "the younger she'll be when you come home." "I'll get right to it then." Dorothea tightened her embrace. "There's no hurry." He laughed softly, amused by her quick contradiction. "We can't miss the festivities. You and your friends worked too hard to make sure we had a rousing send-off."